Shalom, Sergey and Larry and Richard Bronson. On your project, I see a slight touch of humor. Um, I'm 65, so I don't think I'm a good candidate for your colonization of Mars. My suggestion is this. I'm a didactic scientist living in Jerusalem, the author of the trilogy Humanomics, about 2,500 pages with a few hundred pages of graphics. It's the new East-West convergence model, and this adds a serious tone to your project and your proposal, and that is to put a cognitive man on the Earth before we put a behavioral man on Mars. We already landed behavioral man on the moon, and so my project is to put a cognitive man. What am I talking about? Specifically, as a scientist, I observed the collapse of the local reality globally beginning in 1991. Soviet Union, communism collapsed. 1992, communism collapsed in Yugoslavia, and Zionism with the murder of Rabin, the local reality collapsed. And as you probably know if you've studied 101 physics, you collapse the local reality, you have the quantum reality. But when we have denial of the collapse of the local reality, you can't inhabit the quantum reality. The quantum reality is cognitive man. The collapsed local reality is behavioral man. And there's an enormous esoteric, complex dialogic that follows from that. It's not for this little short video, but more importantly, for this brief, Barack Obama is the candidate that understands humanomics, and it will be the task of him to get himself elected and to implement as new world-class global technologic infrastructure the model of humanomics in general, and in particular its new economic paradigm, will transform the structure fundamentally of the U.S. economy, which will re-educate and retrain the American workforce to make it the most competitive for the next decade. It'll require an investment, modest investment, about 4 or 5 trillion. Well, Bush burned 4 trillion on an absolutely useless war. So we all agree that was a poor investment. Now, this supply-side investment, over half of it will come from the G9, and it'll make America the most competitive nation in the world based upon the new economic paradigm. It identifies information as a new agent of transformation and provides its 4 major enabling sub-technologies, one of which is going to be very significant in either competing with you or transforming your own technology envelope at Google. But that's another thing for another day. I'll just name them. Network services, systems integration, natural intelligence, and human development. And in particular, systems integration in the new economic paradigm is a macro model, a submodel of enabling technology that is light years beyond what IBM called systems integration. Network services is light years beyond what AT&T defines as network services. Natural intelligence is light years beyond artificial intelligence, and human development is light years beyond sustainable human development as it's defined in the UN. Enough said. That's the meaning of information as the new agent of transformation. The complexities are significant. Having said that, the development and implementation of the project in America will triple by between years 15 and year 20. It'll triple the gross domestic product. It'll eliminate the national debt, which will then be, with the investment required, somewhere around 15 trillion. And having amortized it over that period of time, the econometric model, macroeconometric model suggests the dollar will have tripled in value by that time, and quite a bit sooner, in fact, because all of the uncertainty is removed at the beginning of this project. This will be the national platform program strategy of the Democratic Party, and the candidate in particular, which we expect will be Barack Obama. Think green. It solves the planetary crisis. It halts and reverses the 24/7, 365 movement of hundreds of millions of people on the planet unnecessarily, changing fundamentally the patterns of mass production distribution of the G9. Significantly, we are dominantly over 80% of GNP is the production of new knowledge, information, and services and technology for export. So what's remaining of the Rust Belt will be retrofitted to the LDCs with very green brain-centered technologies to further enhance the structural planetary considerations. Having said all of this, I'm Yoshua Yaakov Ben Avraham. I appreciate your humorous approach to your project of colonizing the Mars, but I ask you to very seriously, you're not 65, it's nice to be young and have fun, but let us recognize that what I'm saying is not a joke, it's serious, and it is this, and I want to repeat it because it's very important, and it is this. The behavioral man that we put on the moon is a metaphor. The cognitive man deals with the redemption of man and mankind. Having said that, that was a bug that, sorry for the disturbance. Putting a cognitive man on the earth first means that we end the denial of the collapse of the local reality and enter the quantum reality by ending that denial. And that first means deconstruction and deprogramming of man's mind in exile, and that's behavioral man. That's how we move into the space of cognitive man. That's a project I think we can all get behind and agree is significant. And I think it really ought to be done before we put a colony of humans, because what we have today we have still behavioral man clinging to ground zero, denying the end of a man's exile, and refusing to continue in the normative historic ascent to inhabit the quantum reality of cognitive man, which is the redemption of man and mankind. Having said all of these things, I still like very much your proposal, and I wish you and Richard and Larry and Sergey success. But come on, guys, let's focus on the priority is cognitive man. You don't want to put a behavioral man on the Mars. We haven't done a good job with our planet here. Let's not go muck up another one until we get it right here. Okay, thanks for listening to me. I'm Yeshua Yaakov from Jerusalem, and we wish you blessings. And Kabel B'Shvilatet, in Hebrew, that's receiving to give. That is the construct of cognitive man, inhabiting the quantum reality, receiving to give. That's a blessing, and when you hear it, I want you guys to say amen, because I'm Rev Yeshua Yaakov. So you get the blessing. Having said that, thanks for listening. All the best.